Welcome to the podcast that will teach you how to successfully invest in and build steady streams of passive income from the highly lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. Veteran real estate investors Kevin Bupp and Charles Dehart from Mobile Home Park Academy will personally share with you the valuable lessons they've learned along their journey as mobile home park investors, so that you too can learn how to build massive cash flow and huge profits from this extremely lucrative niche. So without further ado, let's welcome your hosts for today's show, Kevin Bupp and Charles Dehart.
Welcome, guys and gals, to the Mobile Home Park Academy's weekly podcast. We'll provide all the information that you need to know to successfully locate, negotiate, close on, and make huge profits from the lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. I'm your host, Kevin Bupp, and in today's show, we're going to be speaking with the co-founder of Parkway Communities, Satish. Satish currently oversees communities in 5 different states, consisting of a total of 750 rentable lots, which ranks Parkway Communities in the top 100 mobile home park owners in the USA. Satish entered the MH space in 2013 after 20 years of senior management experience in the information technology industry. Now, I actually had the opportunity to personally spend some time with Satish at the recent CECO conference up in Atlanta, and I was nothing but impressed with not only the success that he's found within this industry in a short period of time, but also with how genuine of a guy he really is. And so I'm excited to have the opportunity to share Satish's journey with all of you. In fact, I'm excited to learn more about it myself. You know, we had the opportunity to spend some time together, but I don't know everything. And so I'm excited to learn more about him and his background, and I'm positive that you guys are going to find huge value in his background and expertise and his time that he spent in the MH space. But before we introduce Satish to the show, I'd like to run through just a few quick housekeeping items. If you guys have listened to the last couple of shows, then you know that we've recently closed on a 2-park deal up in Salisbury, Maryland, totaling 185 lots in the last couple of weeks. And I'm mentioning this because I want you guys to go check out this video that I created. It was a video podcast. I did a drive-through of one of the 2 communities where I actually walk you through in detail the step-by-step process of how we purchased and how we're going to maximize the value of that particular community. I'm going to be releasing the other video drive-through of that second community here in the coming week or 2. But really, the best part of this purchase, this is the exciting part, and these are the types of opportunities that are out there in this marketplace, and that's what we're going to be talking about part of the show today. We're going to be talking with Satish about the different opportunities that they've come across in their time in this business. But these 2 parks, we got them appraised by a third-party appraiser that worked for the bank, or that worked on the bank's behalf, and they came in $1 million higher than what we actually were paying for them. So there's a lot of upside, a lot of meat left on that bone. There's lots of other opportunities out there like that, just waiting for you guys to jump in and grab a hold of them. Okay, it's a really exciting time to be in this industry and to be in this niche. And I shouldn't be telling you all this because now you guys are going to go out and grab the deals before Satish and I get to them. But no, there's plenty of deals out there for everyone to go around. So you guys, if you're interested in the space, you got to jump in. You got to jump in soon and grab them before they get eaten up by guys like Satish and I. So that actually kind of leads me on to my next point. If you guys don't know, my team and I, we're always looking for potential partners to team up with who have an interest in working with us on mobile home park deals, just like the ones in Maryland. We've got a few other deals in contract today, and are always looking for future partners that are accredited, that can they're looking to place their money in a proven asset class. In fact, this asset class I think is better than any of the other real estate asset classes out there. It's my personal opinion, but I'm going to stick to it. So if you have any interest whatsoever and potentially partnering with us, or looking into potential partnering with us, you can learn more about our company by going to sunrisecapitalinvestors.com. Again, sunrisecapitalinvestors.com. You can download our investment prospectus and our private placement memorandum directly on that site. It's a secure investment portal. Create a username and password, and you'll get access to all of our investment opportunities that we currently have available, and also be the first one notified when a new one comes to light. And lastly, guys, if you happen to be in the Tampa Bay area, that's where I'm based out of. If you're in town for business or pleasure and have some extra time, I would love to buy you a coffee or lunch or dinner, whatever you might have time for. So if you have some time and you know you're coming into town, shoot me an email ahead of time so we can coordinate schedules. You can reach out to me directly with my personal email, which is kevin@kevinbupp.com, and we'll try to schedule a time to get together while you're here in town. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Satish to the show. Satish, how you doing today, bud?
Doing great, Kevin. It was great meeting you at CECO just a few weeks back and talking to you and learning from you. By the way, I avidly listen to your podcast, and there's a lot of great information that you have. I actually, in fact, in like 2 or 3 days, I had to just devour all the podcasts because I was late to joining your podcast. But great information, Charles, and you do a great job in educating the listeners here.
Oh, very cool. Thank you for that, Satish. Well, yeah, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you as well. And I've been actually awaiting the day that I could get you on the show and interview you about your business. You know, we had the opportunity to speak, for some time, different points during the Seco event. And so I have a general idea of your business and your background. And but, there's probably a lot more that I don't know. And so what I'd like to do, maybe just to start things off, for those that don't know of you, Satish, I gave you a little introduction there, but I'm sure it's a lot more expanded than that. So maybe take a few minutes, just tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you did prior to getting into the mobile home park industry, and then how you made that transition into going out of your past career into full time in the mobile home park space, which is where you are now.
Sure, Kevin. And frankly, I never knew that my education would walk me towards the mobile home park space. So it's been an interesting journey, and this journey started in 2010. My wife, she is a Booth School graduate from University of Chicago, and she approached me and she said that she was not enjoying the work that she was doing in one of the biggest banks in the industry. So she asked her, is there something else we can do different than what we're doing here? I was at Hewlett Packard. I was the head of the software testing services for the entire North America, and we both had really good jobs to say the least, and we were blessed with the amount of money that we were making. But when she approached me, and my family history, my brothers, they always started their own companies. And we wanted to do something that was not in conflict with what conflict with our companies. So we decided to take a different route and completely out of the technology and banking industry. During that time, I was actually having dinner with one of my project management leaders. And her name is Julie, and she owns 120 properties in Florida. And when she mentioned to me that, I asked her a lot about the real estate, how the returns are. And finally, one question that really stuck with me that I got the answer for is, what was the best performing asset? And she and her dad, they both worked in the industry for the past 45 years, and they have a mobile home park. So that really helped me understand that mobile home parks were good assets, less risky assets, and high returns. So we started asking her more questions, and after that, it was interesting that we have twin daughters. They were about 7 or 8 at the time, and we took them out to the mobile home parks around Dallas-Fort Worth Metro. And frankly, the kids never wanted to go back and visit a mobile home park because, some of the parks that we saw were really, really dilapidated and well water and septic tanks. So that's where the journey started. And we reached out to a few owners in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro, and they have become my mentors, and they have really trained us, that is me and Indira, on how to manage the parks. And we feel blessed. We really feel blessed by the journey that we took from the technology world, where we had to report to somebody else, and now we drive our own schedule. If we want to take a vacation, there's nobody to ask. There's no paper trail that we have to fill in. There's no paperwork that we have to fill in. It's all independent, and it has been a great ride for us, and we feel blessed every day every day that we have taken this opportunity to not only provide affordable communities to our tenants, but also to provide the high risk, less risk adjusted and high returns to our investors. So,
I think that's the beautiful thing about parks, Satish, is that this industry. There's like you and I, we're really all about. We love the aspect that we can provide a good, clean, safe, quiet place for a family that's on a limited budget to live and raise their family. Right, an area that's in a good school district that offers them a small yard to play in a place of their own, a place where they can truly become a homeowner. And I think that's a rewarding part of this business that a lot of people miss. They kind of just see, or they hear about the how lucrative it might be as far as the returns in comparison to maybe the apartment space or any other type of commercial real estate. But there's more to it than just that. I mean, obviously the returns are nice, right? That's important. But the fact that we can provide good quality, affordable housing in a world that there's not much of it that exists. In the United States, we're not building enough to keep up with the demand for affordable housing, and so it's very interesting and rewarding at the same time, and I really enjoy it for that aspect, and it sounds like you do as well.
Same here, Kevin, and just the fact that some of the parks that we take over, they are turnaround parks, and the kids don't have any pride in the community, and within months and a year or two, they start telling their own friends that this is where we live, and they show that pride by bringing in the tenants, by bringing the references into our parks. I think that's where we want to make changes in the communities, really build that pride and that affordability both. If you can do that, then we have achieved our goals. Yeah,
no, that's fantastic. And so I want to ask you, how long did it take you to actually transition out of your career? I mean, you and your wife were working full time in the IT space. So was it your first park, your third park, your fifth park? And how long did it really take you before you felt comfortable jumping in with both feet?
So Indra actually left her job after the first deal. It was the first deal was in Fort Worth, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro. So she left her job because she felt that, again, that park was not totally replacing the income that she was getting, but we were comfortable because of the tax advantage that we were getting. We were comfortable that she can, that she can leave her job. Mm-hmm. And then we purchased a second park in Wichita, Kansas. That was with our family and friends. And on the third deal, where we got in Kansas City, Missouri, it was just an outlier, amazing deal. So at that point in time, when I was looking at my paycheck and the money that we were going to make from this third deal, then we decided that it would be a good time to just focus on affordable communities and mobile home parks. So on the third deal itself, we started doing full time. So Indra left after the first deal, and I left after the third deal, and that was within like 4 or 5 months. Both did not have a job. Our job was just completely 100% dedicated to building these communities.
Mm-hmm. How crazy did your superiors at your companies? How crazy did they think you were for leaving?
Nobody believed it, Kevin. No, not one person believed it. They all felt that I was actually going to a competitor, and I've had so much. Again, like I said, I was blessed with the amount of money I was making, the team that I was leading, and so everybody felt that I was going to a competitor, and this was just, that I was literally lying that I was going to an affordable community here. Yeah. So when and I think still a lot of people think that I'm in the technology because I've not updated my LinkedIn, but I need to do that. Need to go back and update it. But yeah, you're right. Nobody believed it. Even my brother said, "Are you sure you want to go into this business?" Because none of our family has been in real estate until now. So this mobile home park investing and managing mobile home parks has really changed our legacy in a huge way. Mm-hmm. So when we started this, we had to take a few things seriously because of the fact that we were earning well, and will this replace what we were making, and how many parks do we need to buy to replace the money that we were getting from working in the technology companies. Mm-hmm. So So I think, these are some serious concerns that everybody should have when they're moving into a mobile home park. I think the best would be to partner with somebody like you, Kevin, invest in that, learn it, and meanwhile you can in parallel start looking going around the mobile home parks and seeing if they can buy one. One of the things that really helped me to move into the space was I literally went to the mobile home park owners in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro and said, guys, take this money. My wife and I, we have great jobs. We were not thinking at the time to leave it as long as we could supplement the income that we were getting from our companies. So none of them would actually take money from us. They said that we are happy with what we are doing. We don't want your money, Satish. And this was like a whole year. Imagine me taking money to these, operators and saying, take my money and give me some returns. One of the other things, again, I'm touching upon multiple things, Kevin, is when I look back on my 401k, imagine from 1994-95, I was investing $15,000, $17,000, just maximizing on my 401k. And after investing for nearly, 2 decades, when you look back at the returns, they were like 4 or 5% returns, right? How could you feed the family with such paltry returns? And I felt that when I look back, and that really also prompted us to move into the mobile home park space, is when you're investing in mutual funds, when you're investing in, even in index funds, they're great, but it always has been, tails you lose, heads I win, right?
Right.
Because no matter what the returns are for you, the mutual fund manager is making money.
Sure.
So 1%, 1.5%, 2%, and just imagine if the returns are 7-8%, and the returns that the fund fees are 1% or higher, they are taking away 15-20% of the returns.
Yep.
Right. And there is so much overhead in these, and that is the reason why I feel that we never made any money in these mutual funds, even though it is tax advantage 401k. So what we did is we decided to take the money out of 401k. That was a very gutsy move for us, because we always felt that 401k would be the one that we could tap into later in life. We took all the money in 401k and we started investing in these parks, right, through the self-directed IRA. We also we sold most of our stock holdings, and we started investing in mobile home parks. Only because if there is anything wrong that we did, we know who to blame. That is ourselves.
Right.
But if you invested in a company like Microsoft or Xerox, and if they went bankrupt, who do you blame?
Yeah.
Right. So that was the reason why we decided, if we want to blame somebody, let's blame ourselves. And that's the reason we said, okay, we're going to take our investments, all the investments out of stocks, and start investing, take that money and directly rolling that into buying mobile home parks.
Well, very, very cool. No, that's you made the right choice, right? I mean, there's so many different places you could have, even in the real estate space, that you could have invested your money into. And in fact, that kind of leads me to my next question, Satish. Is I know that you had a conversation with a coworker that owned real estate, and one of the properties that they owned, her and her father, was a mobile home park, and that is the one they said kind of outperformed anything else, which is what kind of steered you in that direction. But was there a point in time where you actually considered other types of commercial assets, like apartment buildings or self-storage, or any of the other, retail, industrial, anything like that? I mean, or was it always like laser focused towards mobile home parks after you had that conversation with your coworker?
So the coworker had 120 properties and only one mobile home park. Mm-hmm. So when you look at it, her dad he was around 82 or 83 at the time, and had 40 plus years of experience in real estate. and they own condos, single-family homes, again, 119 of them, and one mobile home park. And when I asked them what were the best returns, and she said a mobile home park, that really opened my eye. And we have been investing in single-family homes, condos, not multifamily, but single-family homes and condos since 1997. And when I look back, I know those don't even come close to the returns that we would get from mobile home parks. So once I talked with my coworker, it really opened up my eyes. And we also, by the way, invested in Dubai. Can you imagine that, Kevin? We invested in Dubai. It was a beautiful 3-bedroom, 3-bath condo in 23 Marina. And we barely made any money on that investment. So I would, after looking at international investments and single-family homes, condos, all these investments, I would definitely say that mobile home parks would be a great investment with better returns and lot less risk as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And so that leads me to my next question, Satish, and that is, I want to talk about your first park. And I want to know from you, before we go into the details of that first acquisition, I want to know what some of the scary parts were for you of buying that first community. I mean, were there aspects of the community itself, maybe the infrastructure, maybe the amount of heavy lifting you're going to have to do to turn it around if it was a heavy turnaround play, or just the general operational fear of like the unknown? I mean, was there any component of buying that first community that just really scared you and made you consider not even getting into the space once you started moving forward?
Yeah, so it took about a year and a half. In retrospect, it was just crazy. It took a year and a half to close that first deal.
Wow.
Right, because I was asking the broker to talk with the seller, and the broker was doing his job of protecting the seller. So literally after a year and a half, the seller was also getting very frustrated, and he had approached the broker. And the gentleman lives in Portland, Oregon. Now, once I talked with the seller, it was literally a 2 15-minute conversations, and we closed the deal in less than 30 days.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. And,
wow.
And it was just that me understanding his perspective and the seller understanding my perspective, and not looking at the purchase price as such, even though we brought it down by a good margin. But it is just, it was much, much easier to directly talk with the sellers. Now, and once we were at the closing table, we said, we are going to go ahead. And I look at my wife and she looks at me and saying, are we doing the right choice here? Because it is $200,000 of money that we had invested were in this park. Is this the right choice? So we decided that, if we invest in here and it does not perform well, it will be a really, really, really expensive education for us. So let's go ahead and do it. So we closed the deal. I think that may be one of the reasons why brokers and other people don't want to work with the first time owners, because they are so scared because they can just walk away at the closing table, right? Mm-hmm. So once we closed it, we were fortunate that we had a great manager. He was fantastic, and one of the things that I asked the manager that, hey, would you how much can we raise on the rent? Remember, this is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and lot rents at the time, the previous owner was charging was $327. That included water, sewer, and trash, right?
Okay.
And our business plan, we always have a business plan for each and every park, so we can track back on how we are doing, was obviously to raise the rents. We called the parks around to see where they were. In 2013, they were all over the place. And we quickly raised the rents to $375 and built back the water and sewer. We used RUBS instead of the water meters. And it was a long process because working with PUC, you have to, cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And that took us about 3 months. And we worked with the tenants. We let them know why we are doing that to conserve the water. And I personally have good, I personally went and distributed the notices. This was our first park along with the manager. That worked out great. And it took us literally like 4 or 5 months to notice that, this is not a bad thing. It was not risky at all. We were getting the cash flows that we had anticipated. And it was a small park, but about 31 spaces. But that brought in a lot more confidence in us, and it was fully occupied. So it was good that it brought the confidence, but we had, and that's where we started it. Okay. I think, it was, we were scared like anybody else, but that initial good break was needed by us.
So the 31 spaces, were they all tenant-owned homes, Satish?
There were 6 or 7 of them were park-owned homes, and the rest were tenant-owned homes. Now we bought the notes from the sellers, and they wanted full note value. Obviously, we said that there is a risk in carrying the notes, so we were able to discount it by, I think, 20 or 30% based on how, again, some of them were 10-year notes, some of them were coming to maturity in a year or two. So it was about 20 or 30% discount. And I think we because just the fact that Dallas Fort Worth is such a strong market, we do not have a single tenant walking away from their homes.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And that was city water, city sewer. I think you had mentioned it was not billed back when you purchased the park, but you implemented the RUB system. Have you since gone to installing water meters versus a RUB system?
We have thought about it in other parks. We have installed water meters. In this park, we continuously think about it. We do a quarterly review on each of the parks, and we have thought many a times, should we go with water meters? But I think we felt it is much easier to take the bill, divide that by the number of bedrooms for each of the homes, and allocate the prices, right? Obviously, doing water metering has its own headaches because the water meter can go bad. They may break. Somebody may decide to break them, right? And the winters can play havoc on the water meters if they're not insulated. Mm-hmm. So we just decided to go ahead with RUBs instead of doing water metering. We do have RUBs in few of our parks, and we do have water metering. So you have to think about what is the best solution and how much time are you willing to spend on the water meters. In other parks, like I said, the 100 plus spaces park, we definitely we have done some metering there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And so this park here, I don't think you had mentioned the financing side of it. Was it owner financed, or did you get bank financing on this one, or was it a cash deal?
No, we got bank financed. The broker in the deal had helped us find a bank, and it was Prosperity Bank based out of Houston, and we were able to get financing from them. They wanted us to invest 35%, and they did 65%. Again, we had no experience in multifamily before this deal, so they were more conservative, and even our interest rates were a little bit higher than normal. But at that time, we felt that that this is the only bank that we knew that was local that was paying, that was carrying the lending here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. And today you have 750 lots. How many communities does that consist of?
That is 7 communities across 5 different states. We have really focused on the Midwest. We have a park in Fort Worth, 2 parks in Kansas, 2 parks in Missouri, a park in Iowa, and 1 park in Ohio. So the Ohio one is a little bit away from the beach and path in the sense that it's much easier to get to get to Iowa parks, and because if I land in Kansas City, Missouri airport, I can literally get to all these parks in a matter of 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been, we kind of look for the access as well, and how close they are from the airports and other parks.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah, we do the same thing. I always like to say that, so I live in the Tampa Bay area. I like to be able to know that I can get a direct flight from Tampa to an airport that is within, an hour and a half or less drive to the community. Now, we do have one park that's outside of that parameter. It's about a 2-hour drive, but I like to know that I can get to them quickly if I need to. Very rarely do we ever have to jump on an airplane and fly to our community like short notice. In fact, I don't think it's ever happened. But just in case it does, I want it to be easy and convenient. And another criteria that we have, Satish, is I don't like crossing over central time zones. Now, I'm not saying that might not change down the road, where there's a great opportunity. We would consider going into Mountain Time Zone or Western or Pacific Time. But as soon as you start flying across multiple time zones, the days get very, very long for traveling. So we like to keep it Eastern and Central Time.
You're right, Kevin. You brought up a good point there. Even though it's like an hour or 2 hour difference, but sometimes you always feel that it has to be. It is better to be in the same time zone because Ohio market is in the Eastern time zone, and the rest of our properties are in the Central time zone. So even that 1 hour sometimes is, you feel that it should be Central more than Eastern time zone. But anyways,
mm-hmm.
so we like to. You're right. We like to be in the same time zone as the other parks are.
So I'm gonna ask you a question that a lot of people ask me quite often. It's a pretty common one. Is being that you're in 5 different states. You've got 7 parks in 5 different states. Some of these parks are close proximity to one another, even though they're in a different state, but they're still, 2-3 hours away from one another. How do you, as far as like your management style and maybe strategies that you've created to help you more efficiently run your business, tell us how that works. I mean, because a lot of people, especially those that are in the multifamily space, that are so used to buying an apartment complex and then just handing it off to a third-party management company to deal with, we don't have the luxury of really doing that in the MH space. We pretty much have to handle the property management in-house. We do have on-site property managers, like I'm sure you do in each one of your communities, but you still have to oversee. Like you're the main guy running the show behind the scenes, or you and your wife are. So how have you created an efficient business out of doing that, being that you're in 5 different states and so spread out?
Yeah, it is. We were struggling in the outset on once we got the 2 parks and the third park, they were all in different states. And it is not easy. It is not easy to scale to different states because the laws, the eviction laws, the attorneys, the people that you're working with, even the hiring, the community managers, the maintenance, everything is different, mm-hmm. right? So what after the third park, we stepped back and said, okay, if we want to scale this business, we need to start thinking like McDonald's founder, right? And if you notice, if you have watched the movie The Founder, that's what he does. He has to build the processes and systems where everything is it is dumbed down so much that anybody can take it over, read through that, and start working through that, right? Now we have a 2-day training that we have the community managers go through. And that 2 days really covers about 80% of what their daily things are. What do they do on a daily basis? The other 20%, if it is a new state, we work with the eviction attorneys. We work with the local manufactured housing associations to build the processes in that state. And we, again, like a book of processes and systems, we drop it and we train the community managers on. Just becomes easy for us in the central office, just becomes easy for them. And we have rules of conduct. We have the goals that are decided on a quarterly basis. and they know how to keep the property up, or the collections needs to be less. It's more driven like the McDonald's process driven, rather than what we do now being reactive on situations. Okay, what do I do now because we have a new park? How do we go about it? Right, here are the process. We just up it and it's much easier. So we have a lot less headaches on our community managers, and that what is frustrating, if you don't get a good community manager, it is very frustrating. And in one park, in 6 months, we had to replace 6 community managers, right? And we got the 7th one, and that's when we started thinking, okay, this is not working out. What do we need to do to build these processes? And that's what in the last year and a half, we have been really focused on building these processes. We have taken our foot out of the pedal to buy more parks rather than build these processes to make sure that, if when we buy more parks, it is much easier to operate them.
Yeah. So do you, most of those systems and processes and is it just a manual, like a process, like actual operations manual that you've developed, or is it more web-based? I mean, do you use like a system, whether it's Rent Manager or maybe some other type of project management system that you house all these systems and processes within? How do you keep it all organized?
It's actually a lot of different things. One is we use Rent Manager. It is a little bit complex for the community managers. But what we have done is we have built dozens and dozens of videos for Rent Manager. So it is much easier for a community manager. Let's say even the first time they want to run the money order through the check scanner, we have a video that we took with the community manager, and they can just click on that video and play it back. Right? The second thing is if the evictions, we have eviction process, we have flow charts, we have how much money how much money it would cost, and how do we go about getting the title in each of these parts. So, and we also try to work with the residents. If there is death in the family or if there is an emergency, as long as they have brought in our payments, they have been on time for the past 12 months, we will give them one ride for that month. That's about it. So what is the process of doing promise to pay? Even though I'm not a big favor of that, but that is one thing. It helps in majority of the times, especially for your long-term tenants, to give them that chance to recover from that hardship that they're going through. But otherwise, for any park-owned homes, we don't wait. There's a very stringent process that we follow. On the 6th, we give them the eviction notice. On the 9th, we turn that information to the eviction attorney. So all that is actually spelled out, and also how they should be filling out the eviction, the 3-day notices. Now, what we did is we went one step beyond. Instead of giving in places where instead of them filling out the 3-day eviction notices, we have programmed, we can use scripts in Rent Manager where it automatically spits out the 3-day eviction notice with all the balances. So the only thing that the community manager has to do is sign their name and put and they don't even have to put the date there. Even the date is populated. So again, just making this, revert to things like the founder. They, in McDonald's, the consistency across the mobile home parks is so important. Just like the same consistency that McDonald's want to bring into each of their shops there, each of the restaurants, right? That is what we are driving towards. Are we there yet? No, because we still find areas where we need to build these systems and processes, and it is a lot of work. We feel that I think that's where we should be, and we have hired people who actually focus on just building the processes. And on a weekly basis, we go through that, make sure that that they're ironclad and they're well done.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, at what point in time is your company going to be to the size where you think you might need to hire an outside person, like someone that's that can help you expand your portfolio, maybe like an asset manager or a portfolio manager? Do you see that time coming in the near future, or do you feel like you've got a really good handle, you and your wife, on overseeing what you currently have today, but you could also fit a couple more properties in your portfolio before you feel the need to bring on additional help from outside?
Right. So Indra has the finance background, and I'm more tied into operations. Mm-hmm. So we did bring an additional person. She's the director of operations, and she really works with the community managers. And we have created, again, based on the goals that we have for each of the community, she's responsible to make sure that each of the communities are meeting those goals. And there are some things, like, for example, if there is a big water leak and we're losing $700, that becomes a P1, a priority one item for that park. So I get frequent updates on who is fixing it, how it's being fixed, and what can we do proactively that the leaks don't happen. Sometimes somebody has not put the insulation on a water meter, right? That causes the leak. So it's just managing. So we do have a director of operation that takes care of the park. Right now, my wife wanted to spend more time with our twin daughters, so that is the reason why we brought in a director of operations, and we want to expand as well, Kevin. So we also have a director of acquisitions in our team, and I manage both the director of operations and director of acquisitions in our company. Now, could we have waited? Could Indra and I manage these 7 parks by ourselves? Absolutely, we could have managed it. But what the challenge is, one of the goals for me was, when I left my technology background, was to help my family and friends, because their returns were very low, 4, 5, 6%. And we wanted to, and they have been asking us to take their money and invest in the mobile home parks. And that is what we want to do. I think this is the first phase was, understanding what these parks about, parks are, the challenges. I think we were able to address that. The second phase was to build the processes, systems. We do screen recordings, we do videos, we have built a lot of documents, right? All that, and now we have been taking money from our friends and family and helping them gain the returns that you and I have been seeing in the mobile home park area. Mm-hmm. So the next phase would be that for us, Kevin, really helping out our friends and family. And we have literally asked them to hold off taking any money. Now we feel that we are ready to take their money and give them the returns that they feel that they need to have.
Yeah, so I mean, now you've proven the concept with your own money over a number of properties, and now you've got the systems and processes in place, although they're being refined each and every day. But you're at the point now where you feel comfortable taking outside capital, and I think that's really important for everyone that's listening in. They should really heed that advice. You really need to, if you're just getting into this business or any other type of real estate, to where you intend to go and raise capital at some point in time. I'm a firm believer, again, this is just my opinion, but I'm a firm believer that you need to really risk your own money first and prove your concept and do it on your own, to where you're responsible for your own money and not to where you're responsible for someone else's money, and you're basically out there acting as using their money as a guinea pig and testing this process, not knowing exactly what the outcome might be. I'm a firm believer in that. So it sounds like you've done that with the numerous properties. We did the same thing when I got into this space. We bought the first, I believe, 4 or 5 properties without any outside capital whatsoever. Just my own capital, and proved the concept, knew that this business was a winner before we even went out. to knock on other doors or talk to other people about them potentially working with us and investing their capital. So, and I think that's a great plan. And lastly, I want to ask one more question, Satish, about your operational person. When you were seeking that person out, were you looking for someone that had extensive experience in this space already, in the MH industry, or that had, prior property management experience? And if so, how much experience were you looking for?
So I like, I read tons of books, Kevin, and one of the things is One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. And Peter Lynch says that even though he went to these finance classes, it took him several years to unlearn those processes, right, to become a better mutual fund manager. So similarly, we wanted to actually bring somebody who was dependable, reliable, and who could learn our processes quickly, and then start implementing them across the portfolio. So we did not look for anyone that had the real estate experience. We just wanted to get that reliable person with good communication skills, and who also owned a company in the past and knew the challenges of a startup company, right? So that is what we focused on. We literally interviewed about 30 or 40 candidates, and finally found one that was a good fit for us. And Kevin, I've been doing interviews for hundreds and hundreds of people in the technology business. So applying that to this area was a natural progression for me.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And lastly, I know we're running out of time here. I want to ask you, what advice would you give to someone that's just looking to enter into this space? We met when we were up at Seco, and I know you just got back from NCC Chicago. We go to these different industry events, and there's a percentage of people that are there that are new, that haven't bought their first park yet. They're just trying to get into this space and trying to figure it out, just like you and I were trying to do, years back. And so just like our podcast, we have lots of listeners that tune in that own parks today, but also many more that do not own parks yet and want to buy their first park. So what advice would you give? If you had just one piece of advice, like what's the number one priority piece of advice you would give to a new investor that's looking to break into this business?
I think learn about this business first. You have to learn because this is your hard-earned money. I have to follow with another one, Kevin. First of all, learn as much as you can about this investment. Listen to the podcast, read books on mobile home park investing, and then invest only your money. And you can go and talk with the mobile home parks around your community, and you may have to buy a park that is in a different state. Brokers are great to work with, and also taking the time to calling the mobile home parks around the area, and just letting them know that you want to buy the parks. Just build that camaraderie with the park owners. I think that's going to be crucial.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I believe you use brokers for a lot of your transactions. Have you purchased any parks direct to owner to date?
No, we have not, Kevin. The 100% of the parks were through brokers, and they feel very confident in our abilities to close the deal in the price that we say that we'll close it. Mm-hmm. And we have not backed out of any deals. Once we say that, we actually do the due diligence within the first week to 10 days. And we let them know that we want to go forward with the deal and not. And I think over the course of the years, they feel a lot more confident that we are a good buyer and we can close the deals. Mm-hmm. They bring pocket listings to us, and we have been blessed with that. And also we send them, the Christmas gift that also helps to make sure that they come to us first, than going to somebody else.
Sure.
When there's a pocket listing.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's great advice. Well, Satish, this has been a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to this for the last few weeks, after we first met. And so I really appreciate you coming to the show and sharing your story with us. You're having some great success. And so I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with you and watching you progress along the way? Because you've got this great foundation. You guys have bought a great number of parks thus far, and you're just getting started. you got a long runway ahead of you. So I'm excited to see where you take this thing. I think we're very similar points in our business where we've got a very good foundation. We've got a decent number of parks underneath our belt. We're very confident with this business and are now ready, just like you are, I think, are ready now to grow the business in a much bigger way. So it's an exciting time to be in this industry. There's lots of opportunities still out there, lots of deals you have to sift through a number to find the good ones, but there's still a lot of deals out there, Satish, wouldn't you agree, that are just waiting for guys like you and me and everyone else that's listening to the show to snatch up and bring value to. Would you agree with that statement?
I agree. I think it is. There are 45,000 mobile home parks, and the big Sun communities and the equity lifestyles. They're probably looking at 200, 300, 400 space parks, right? And we are probably not looking at those, and they're willing to pay like 4 cap or 5 cap. Mm-hmm. There's just not, we are here, there's some preferred returns we're giving out, and that doesn't even help us in any manner. So, right. It is, I think you're right. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of parks out there. It is just being in the market, reaching out to people, reaching out to the park owners, and just keeping constant touch with them. It will really yield dividends. Like I said, the first deal took us a year and a half. And I was not frustrated at all because, especially my background is not in mobile home park, and it had to take a lot of convincing for the broker to see that I would close it when it was time to close the deal. Mm-hmm. Again, it takes time, but I would say always keep the foot on the pedal and learn from others, learn. That's one way that you can improve on and improve your odds of buying a park. Yep.
No, that's great advice. Well, Satish, thank you so much. And guys, that's all we have for today's episode. But before we say goodbye, I just want to remind you that free gift that we offer to all listeners who take the time to leave that 5-star rating and review on iTunes. We'll give you the cold call script that we use in our own business. We do use brokers like Satish, but we also do a lot of direct mailing and cold calling. And in fact, probably a majority of our deals have come from those direct efforts versus a broker. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You should be utilizing all these in your business: cold calling, direct mailing, and brokers. And so we'll give you the exact cold call script that we use in our very own business. And all you have to do to redeem that gift from us is after you submit that review on iTunes, just send us an email to gift@mobilehomeparkacademy.com. Just tell us who you are, what screen name you use to leave the review, and we'll shoot out that cold call script for you. Also, stop by the Mobile Home Park Academy website at mobilehomeparkacademy.com. You can listen to all the previous podcast shows that we have. I believe we're up to number 82 now. And you can also download a free copy of our popular ebook, The 21 Biggest Mistakes Investors Make When Purchasing Their First Mobile Home Park and How to Avoid Them. It's a definite read. You need to grab a copy. It's free. Like Satish just said, you need to learn, need to educate yourself. So every bit of information you can get your hands on that pertains to the mobile home park investment space, that's going to teach you something, that's going to help you avoid a mistake, you need to divulge in. You need to dive into head first. And so that's a free one. That's an easy read. Go grab that. And that's all we have today, guys. So Satish, thank you so much again for stopping by and joining us. And I look forward to following your future progress. And you have a great day, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Congratulations for taking the necessary steps to achieving massive success through the highly lucrative niche of mobile home park investing. Be sure to visit our website, mobilehomeparkacademy.com, to download your free digital ebook version of the 21 biggest mistakes investors make when buying their first mobile home park and how you can avoid them. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our free monthly mobile home park investing newsletter, which is jammed full of valuable tips, tricks, and strategies to help you accelerate your path to success as a mobile home park investor. More information about this podcast and its hosts can be found by visiting mobilehomeparkacademy.com.